Um, if you think you're going to retire and go to the beach and drink pina coladas all day, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. It might happen for you for maybe 2 years,
Right.
and then nobody hears from you again.
You are now listening to On the Beat Podcast.
And here we are back for another version, episode 2 of On the Beat with Lou Maroto and myself, John Riddle. How you doing, Lou?
Outstanding. I'm so excited because, like you said, it is our second episode. Just to recap, the first one was just a little introduction of, what you've done, your resume, and what I've done in my resume. And we kind of ended up the last episode stating or advising that we would be speaking upon the actual hiring process, how to become a police officer.
The application procedures for anybody that's interested in doing that job in today's world.
In today's world, yeah, it's tough. I mean, but it's something that you really have to want from the heart to do. It's if you're just looking for a salary, and a 9-to-5 job, this is not for you. You're gonna get hurt, or you're gonna get somebody else hurt.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with today, what's going on around the country, and yeah, if you think you're just going to come to work and do your 8-hour shift and go home, you got another thing coming.
That's not going to happen.
So you have to be programmed, get ready for that, right?
Absolutely.
Have that in your head before you can fill out the application.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope that you have done some kind of research. And real quick, I'm going to say a little story. We had a guy at my agency who was retired from another law enforcement agency way up north somewhere. And he thought that my local agency was the place to come to do a 10-year retirement gig. The guy lasted 2 days. He wasn't prepared for what our city had to offer.
Yeah.
So, you have to do your research. And
a lot of people look at the city that we worked in and they don't think what it really packs, and you don't get that taste until you're out there.
Yeah, it's
because we're a medium city, right?
Medium
Pretty
size,
much.
yeah, per capita,
Yeah.
for the amount of residents that live in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people don't realize that when you're going through the training process, before you go to FTO, you're in a very comfortable environment. You're just talking to instructors and maybe officers within the security of the building.
Yep.
But, once you have to go to FTO and you're assigned an FTO, that's when reality really hits you. Like,
now, I've got a question for you. What is the procedure or the SOP for civilians doing ride-alongs?
It recently changed, and it varies. Different agencies allow you to ride a certain amount of hours in daytime or in the nighttime with a certified law enforcement officer. Mm-hmm. I believe right now it's approximately 4 hours that you can ride.
Okay.
I think it's every other week. Every other week you can ride 4 hours. And again, you can pick day shift or night shift and then do them both.
Okay, and you can be Johnny or Sally that lives down the road in the neighborhood and ride with the police officer that way.
Yeah, one of the first things that we do, or whoever is assigned in charge of the field training office, the ride-along program, most likely lieutenant. They're gonna ask for your ID. They're gonna do a criminal history on you, make sure you're not a convicted felon or anything like that. And then once you're okayed on that and everything comes back negative as far as background, then you're given an option as to what shift you want to ride in. You know.
What I'm getting at here is, if you're going to be somebody that's going to apply for a position as a police officer at the police department, maybe before you put that application in, you should do that ride along. You're going to have to do them anyway in the process,
Right.
but get your feet wet, get some knowledge before you put the application in. Just by doing that 4-hour ride along, one at night, one during the day, see what the job entails, look at what you're going to deal with out on the street, and then make your mind up if you're going to put that application in or not.
That's you can't say it any better. If you step right into the fire, you're gonna get burnt. But if you slowly go and see what the police department is about, if you get to know some of the officers, they take you out there and they show you the type of calls that they're handling.
Sure.
And it's not like just one call at a time. You know how it is.
You're on for a shift.
You're looking at this computer screen,
yeah,
and the calls, depending on the time and depending on the shift or what's going on in the city at that time, those calls could be just mounting up, and you can't expect your zone partners to take care of all those calls for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to learn how to what's the word? Learn how to handle the essential information, absorb it, write down a piece of paper, and then whether it's report or CAD or whatever, you move on to the next call.
Right. But for the average Joe that's looking for the job,
oh yeah,
they should do this. They should do this before they put the application in.
It's a must.
And if you have agencies other agencies that surround the agency you're riding with, go check them out too, and see what they do.
Yeah.
Because you're right. This isn't just a paycheck. You got to come. You get up in the morning, or you get up in the evenings, and you get ready. You put the vest on. You get ready to go out, and you got to have your head straight. You got to know what you're getting into.
From the yeah, exactly, John. From the second that, say day number one, I wake up at 4:00 in the morning. My shift starts at 5:30, but it literally takes me. I like to get dressed, take my time, get mentally ready for what's ahead. And even the night before, I think that's the way we're built. Even the night before, you already start thinking about whether you have to do a filing packet, whether you have to submit a report. So all this stuff is going through your head. So you definitely have to prepare yourself from the second you get up for what's ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Mindset,
absolutely. Mindset. And it's and because we're talking about the hiring process, there are several different ways that you can become a police officer. There's certain ways that you can get into different programs that can eventually give you a spot, a spot that's allotted for that program.
Mm-hmm.
That's not taken away from, say, a grant or city to city or county monies, budgets. So yeah, you just have to figure out at what age you're starting to think that I might want to join, and then start working your way up. And could be guys or ladies that are coming out of the military. There's certain options there too.
At what age? What is the youngest you can become a sworn police officer?
You have to be 19 to be able to apply. Be at least 19 years of age, and there's a bunch of other requirements. I can read a couple of them real quick.
Oh, look, you can't be a convicted felon.
Yeah, you cannot be a convicted felon or a misdemeanor involving perjury or false statement. Integrity. Of course, you cannot be dishonorably discharged from any armed forces, and you must be a high school graduate or equivalent to, again, depending on the police department. And there's all kind of transcripts that you're gonna have to supply.
Sure.
Different kind of from medical history to a clearance from your doctor.
Okay, so back to the school portion of it. I know there's some agencies out there that you need a 2-year degree. You need at least 30 credit hours in whatever. And then there's some agencies out there that you need a 4-year degree. What's your agency accepting?
Right right now we really don't have to have the 2 year degree. It's it's good to have when it comes for promotional purposes.
Mhm.
Um, but again, uh, there's not, when you and I got hired, there was a big influx of candidates. Okay, there was we had a bigger pools, right? And you can the background investigators would pick and choose from that pool who was the best candidate that would fit into our city. Um, Unfortunately, there's not that many people knocking on the door to get in anymore. And I think one of the reasons is because a lot of people see what's going on around the world, and even before COVID and any other incident after that, um, people people are looking for higher pay. They want the take home car, and that's the bigger agencies. Um, if you work for a local agency, the pay not may not be as high. You got to look at your retirement. What how does the pension work?
Okay. So what are some of the for this agency we're talking about? What are some of the perks that makes that agency stand out from somebody else that would I would want to go there versus going over here?
Well, in my agency, and I said I've been there for 25 years. Um, we've always had a good pension board. We have reps that represent us. They're the ones that go to bat for us in front of the city commission, and try to get us those different steps, those raises. We were doing good for a while, um, and I think because of things that have happened, budget cuts and everything else that's going on around the world, um, we've become kind of like one of the lowest paying agencies, and that turns off a lot of potential candidates. You know, but then again, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because you have a candidate that will come in, and he's just trying to get a job to maybe move to a bigger department somewhere else.
Mhm.
So we sometimes we know it's going to happen. We know it may happen, um, but we don't have to sell the agency. The agency has sold itself for many years. It's got a great reputation. Some great cops have come out of there and retired.
Yeah.
And there's still a bunch of great officers that work there. Um, but yeah, we don't have to sell it, but we know that sooner or later you're going to lose a few officers per year because either it wasn't for them or they're looking for more money with more amenities. The take home car, more lateral moves. Maybe they want to get promoted. So that's some of the things that these guys and ladies are thinking of.
Okay.
So
All right. So the application. So through the whole application procedure, okay, you have to be at least 19, citizen of the United States, can't be convicted felon or have any misdemeanor involving perjury or false statement, like you said. That's a do you tell the truth? Can't have a dishonorable discharge from any of the armed forces, and you have to be a high school graduate or equivalent of that, and you have to have the transcripts to show.
correct.
All right, so that's all going to be attached to the application.
Correct.
Right. Okay, so once that's done, we have the packet. All right. Probably I'm 19 years old, so I have a copy of my driver's license to show that because it's got my birth date on it, right? Something like that, or a birth certificate that's attached. Probably a copy of my DD 214 if I was a military person. Okay. A copy of my high school transcripts or a copy of my diploma.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So once I have that, I have it in a packet, I turn it in. Correct?
Yes.
So once it's turned in, then where does the process go from there?
Well, from there we have a specific unit called the background investigators. There's usually about 3 or 4 of them that handle all these applications. And of course, there's a sergeant and lieutenant above that supervises that unit. And their job is to try to find any any not dirt, but
discrepancies in applications.
discrepancies. Yes, and it happens sometimes. You know, you fill out an application and you don't mean to omit, okay, intentionally,
Right.
but you might omit something, and that will knock you out of the process. So the background investigators are supposed to find all these discrepancies in an application, and then of course you are allowed to explain why it was omitted or what happened, explain the situation, and then you may have to get those records from wherever you came from, whatever county,
Right.
state, or city.
And that explanation would come probably during your interview with the background investigator.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Because as a background investigator, when I was once, yeah, I mean, we would review the application. We'd have answers to the questions that I was going to ask that person when he visited me later that day.
Absolutely.
Right. Kind of like a detective.
Yeah.
Right. You're an investigator.
You're an investigator.
So it's, and going back to that one bullet point where, you know, can't be convicted felon or have misdemeanor involving perjury or false statement. So when you're sitting there in front of the background investigator and he's got your application, don't lie.
Yes.
Okay. Try not, you know, you got to be truthful.
And you know what? If you start the process of lying
Then,
before you even get hired, then
Yeah.
it's gonna snowball to
sure.
you being an awful police officer,
Sure.
or you might get arrested for something else.
Yeah.
You know, so be honest, be truthful. You know, I know we want the job, but if you know that maybe you had outstanding speeding tickets, which again will disqualify you nowadays, because there's other candidates that have clean records, clean slates.
Mhm.
So, but if you're honest, you know, and you can explain those speeding tickets, you know, and they might afford you an opportunity.
Right. And some people might think, you know, speeding tickets, well, that's silly. Right. But you're in a marked police car
With blue lights and
with
sirens.
blue lights and a siren for 12-hour days or longer. Right. And you enforce the law. So you have to be able to follow the law also for that period of time. And not, you know, just because you're in a police car doesn't mean you can do what you want as far as being out there on the street, the traffic violations.
Yeah, and it's, you know, especially nowadays, everybody is recording. It's, you know, social media is the biggest thing
Sure.
going on.
Yeah.
So if they see the same car running up and down 95 or one of the local streets in the city, sooner or later somebody's going to make a complaint on you and say, listen, he doesn't have his blue lights or siren on, so he can't be going to a call.
Mhm.
Why is he doing 75 on Southern?
And you might be going to something and they don't know it.
And that's true
You
too.
know. So the main thing is, look, cut and dry. When you're not on a call, don't show your ass when you're out in the street. Drive properly, adhere to all your traffic rules, and you're good to go.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, and you know, and just to add, there, if you know, if you're in the military, if you do have some college education, they do assess different points to you when you're going through the application process. So, like, you know, if you have veteran points, they'll give you 2 points. You know, any college education, and it actually lists it all out when you get your application process.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, packet. You know, anything between 30, 59 credits, you can get 1.60 above, like a associate's degree, you know, 2 points, stuff like that. All those points will add up
Mhm.
when it comes to the end of your final oral board.
Right.
You know, but you definitely have to have a clean driving record. I've seen a lot of guys and ladies get disqualified because they omitted their previous driving history.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's as important as it is. It's just a small piece too,
yes,
you know. So why lie about something like that? You know, when it can be worked out.
And then drug use, very big,
Yeah.
very big. Uh, certain agencies, anything under a year, depending on what the substance once was that you consumed, you might not be you might be automatically disqualified, and you might have to wait 1 or 2 years to reapply.
Okay. 1 or 2 years. Okay.
Yeah. So it's people in the community are expecting. We're supposed to be better, held to a higher standard. So if you apply and you just smoked marijuana 4 months ago and you probably half baked when you turn your application, then you're probably not gonna make it. Another thing, tattoos. I mean, it gets very, very. I'm not saying picky, very analytical. There's certain things that just won't allow you to continue past a certain process. And as you can see, I've been here 25 years and I've kind of added a couple.
Mhm.
But one of the policies where I work is as long as they're not below your wrist, as long as it's not below the wrist, above your neck, on your face, or anything to that nature, you can turn in your application.
Did that change?
It changed with the previous chief.
Okay.
It changed with the previous chief, but let me explain something real quick to the public, because we have a lot of just because you have tattoos does not mean you're a criminal. We're not living in the 50s, 60s where only inmates were the ones that were seen with most of the tattoos. We have a lot of great guys, a lot of great ladies that come out of the military and have tattoos, right? That's just it's a brotherhood, and some people like to stamp the the branch of service that you were in. You're very proud of it. You came out with an honorable discharge, and then sometimes we dismiss that person because of some ink. So I know for a fact that we've lost some good candidates out there that had ink. Um, but the city, the department makes these rules and they abide by them.
Okay. All right.
So, but as far as like let's think about the beginning stages of the actual application process, right? The first thing that we have to do is what? The CJ VAT, right? You go to the college, you register, and this I'm talking about as far as people that are non-certified, right? Non-certified. Certified meaning you already went through a program, you have the certificate, you've passed the state exam. Now you can apply to pretty much any department in the state of Florida, right? So non-certified means you're pretty much working your way up the ladder to get to the certified position. So one of the first steps you have to take is the CJ BAT. Okay, and that's just a test that kind of it tests several academic. What's the word?
Well, it's a general aptitude test,
Yeah,
right?
a general aptitude test. Let's see, I have it here.
Written comprehension.
Yeah, minimum competencies required for enrollment. There's several sections to it, and so it tests written comprehension, written expression, problem solving, inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, information ordering, spatial orientation, and memorization. I mean, these I don't know, these 9 topics I just or bullet points I just touched upon are stuff that you're going to be dealing with every day.
Right.
Can you interact with the public? Can you remember what the person just told you on this call so you can go write a report? Can you remember it while you're handling a second or third report and still be able to finish that first report? Deductive reasoning, problem solving. Can you? That's one of the first things. I'm sorry, that's one of the major things that we do as police officers. We're problem solvers, right? Um, I used to teach a class that involved diffusion techniques, right? It used to be called de-escalating, and then when in the past 2 years it became they started using the word diffuse. Let's diffuse the situation instead of de-escalate.
Okay.
Um, so with the diffusion, it was, can I talk to you? Am I able to get you to do something without me having to use any of the tools that I've given on my belt? Um, so, you got to be able to problem solve. And I used to tell people in class, we're not hostage negotiators. There's certain people that have been to those schools and they are assigned to the hostage negotiation team. But in one way or shape or form, you really are a negotiator because every call you go to, you're trying to negotiate an outcome.
Sure.
So
Well put. Absolutely.
you're always trying to negotiate an outcome. Hopefully positive and nobody goes to jail, and then sometimes it may be you got to put hands on somebody and the fight is on, and somebody's definitely going to jail.
All right. So we're still talking about the non-certified.
Non-certified.
All right. So
we do the CJ bat, right? It's about two and a half hours, I believe, the course, the test. And I believe you have to score a minimum 75.
Okay.
75%.
All right.
Once you pass that, you are allowed to now go into the criminal justice portion of the academy. I'm sorry, of the college. And now you can start to make the application process to get into the academy.
Okay.
So
you have to meet these requirements, take the CJ bat, pass that, and now you're getting closer to actually being selected for the academy class.
correct.
Okay.
And that's a whole different beast there because remember, you may have 60 candidates for one class. Whether all 60 will pass, I don't think it usually ever happens. But there's fees. None of this stuff is free, of course. You
Right.
have to pay, I believe, $25 for the CJ bat. You have to pay, if you do make it to the actual process of the academy where, okay, we have a seat available for you. And I believe the fee is $4,500.
Okay.
Yeah, $4,500. There's a psychological and it's a background that's done on you. You have to do the physical aptitude test. So there's still so much that you have to do before you actually get that seat. So for those that are planning to go and go into the academy and trying to get the non-certified, you have to start doing your homework. Talk to people, go to the academy. One of the things that I did when I started is I would go in the process of doing the CJ bat. I would just walk another 100 feet where the actual academy was, and I talked to the recruits. They wouldn't talk to you. They're still trying to make it, and you would ask them some questions. Hey, how did I get here? How? I'm sorry. How did you get here? What was the quickest way? What was the hardest thing you had to do for you to prepare? So, and then we have, if once you do make it into the, well, you know what, John? Let's talk about the agility test.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the PAT physical agility test for law enforcement.
I want to say that there's like there's 8 different obstacles that consist of that the PAT consists of. The first one being the exit vehicle enter trunk, right? Attributes measured, hand and eye coordination, reaction time, finger dexterity, and flexibility. And all these things all these obstacles are timed. They're all timed.
So you got the okay, the first one, exit the vehicle, enter the trunk. Am I jumping ahead?
Nope. That's the first one. You're good.
So look, I have to preface this. All right, be in shape.
Yes.
Okay, if you're a guy or a gal that's been sitting eating pizza and ho-hos all your life, okay, then I think you might want to get in some type of conditioning program. Go to a gym, start running, go to CrossFit, start getting in shape. All right, because rumor has it that I've heard the only time cops got to be in shape is when they're in the academy.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. We don't have any other standards.
Right. And then you got SWAT, but that's a whole different animal there.
Correct.
Right. But let's just focus on what we're here for, and that's the patrol division. And you only have to be in shape to get through the academy, which is it's totally insane, because you have to look at this is your you have to survive these days, right? And it's not only look, you get out of the car, you're going to go to 0 to 500 miles an hour in a second, okay? And you have to be able to take care of yourself. Not only in the physical realm of fighting and getting handcuffs on a bad guy, but just the daily stressors of the life that you go through day in and day out, right? And the foods we eat out there on the street, because we're going call to call. If you don't pack your lunch, you're eating junk food. You're eating stuff from a diner. You're eating midnight shift. You're eating what you can because a lot of places are closed, right? So if you're in shape before and you have some type of regime, okay, and you get up, you train, you work out, you run, you get strong, you got to keep that going. It has to be a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
It has to be a lifestyle in this job.
And one of the things that I've seen during my 25 years was, it seemed like maybe the era before me, there wasn't that many boot camps and gyms that I can remember. It was more of the weightlifting.
Right, sure,
That was bodybuilding style
workouts, right? Yeah.
But then a couple of years after I got on, you started noticing the boot camps like you have, and the Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu and all those other crafts. And I do see officers nowadays utilizing the gym. Like in our gym in our department, it's usually pretty busy.
Yeah, that's good.
And I know that the officers that work with us, they do go to other gyms and practice training the Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu.
As it should be, because look, when you go to the academy, you only get 40 hours of defensive tactics.
Yeah, the book stuff.
Basic stuff, right? So, and as a trainer in law enforcement, I would always tell people, look, you got the basics according to criminal justice standards and training, right? Now, you're going to have to foot the bill on your own and go outside. Go outside and find a place to train. Go find a place to box, to do jiu-jitsu, to do Krav Maga, whatever it is that's going to help you out in the street. So because 40 hours in the police academy isn't going to cut it.
I even have a better one for you, and I know you know who I'm talking about. Guy that fought, Brazilian guy, fought in this country, was a 2-time champion. He opens up the mats. Well, our DT guys open up the mats, and we have an open mat day. You don't have to pay a penny.
How many show up?
Not many. Usually it's the same crew, the same couple people, maybe 3, maybe 4. Because unfortunately, sometimes our priorities are not in order. My priorities, I need to make more overtime, make more money, instead of train, stay healthy, and hopefully make it to the promised land, 30 years later. But be ready for that violent encounter if it happens. But if you're too busy prioritizing and overtime is your number one goal, and health and fitness is down here, everything in between is when Murphy shows up on that call, it sucks. It sucks. It's happened to me before. And, once you're winded and those legs feel like oodles and noodles,
Mhm.
and hopefully you make it out and the guy's handcuffed, you're like, holy cow,
Yeah.
that guy would just whip my butt.
Sure.
But again, I do see it a lot more where I see all the officers training. I see them running up and down the stairs, doing a lot of cardio. I know a couple of sergeants that they train. They'll train with several officers, and they tell them, okay, listen, you're gonna take your 40 at this time, whatever, as long as you're not busy. Come in, and we're gonna do cardio today, or we're gonna do legs.
Excellent.
So that
Excellent.
that's pretty
That
cool.
comes from the leadership. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So when you are an applicant, you're a young applicant or even a middle-aged applicant, and you're going there to take the physical abilities test, be in shape. Be in shape. Go out because it's a competition. Gals are out there looking at each other, and they're saying, okay, this guy's here. Who's going to try and get the job before me?
Yeah.
And I don't want to let that happen. So now when you're out there with these people, you may not even know them. Now it becomes competition. You're competing for a position.
Absolutely.
So that's where it all starts.
So the next one they have to do is the 220-yard run.
Okay.
Right, run 220 yards with a flashlight in hand. After complete the run, proceed to the obstacle course. Keep the flashlight in hand. Doesn't sound that difficult, right? 220 yards. But some people can't do it.
I've seen the test given, and I've seen people run their butts off, right? Like sprinters. And they come back and they're huffing and puffing, but they continue and they're in good shape, right? Because they train. On the far extreme side of it, I've seen people walk it.
Yes.
And it's like, really? I mean, you're killing me, man. You're going to walk this?
No, I know. And the same, I've seen the same thing, John. It's kind of like it's a smack to the face to the trainers that are there trying to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Smack in the face to the PD that you're working for. Like, how dare you come out here?
But it's a smack to the face, too, of the guy you're riding next to.
Yes, because now I
might
know.
Be dependent on you.
Can I depend on you?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Okay.
So then we have the obstacle course. That's task number 3. So you climb over a 40-inch wall, right? High step or jump over a series of 3 12-inch, 18-inch, 24 hurdles. I mean, yeah, again, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Serpentine through a 40-foot course of 9 pylons. Low crawl 8 feet under 327 high hurdles. And last but not least, leave the flashlight at the end, low crawl, and move to the dummy drag, which is approximately 150 pounds, I believe.
Yeah.
The dummy drag.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and that's where your legs start to burn a little bit.
That's where you hit the wall.
That's where you hit the wall.
But you know what? And I mean, come on, man. This is the job. You hit the wall there. This is where you got to dig deep, right? Got to dig deep, get focused, and start dragging that mother. Because hey, in the job, I might be dragging you. You may be dragging me.
And most likely we're gonna weigh more than 150 pounds for all the gear that we're carrying.
Well, I was gonna say, looking at the two of us, we're well over 200.
Just leave me.
Yeah.
Again, we go to the dummy drag, which is task number 4. You got to sprint 50 feet to the dummy, drag and move the dummy 100 feet, and then move back to the obstacle course. So that's just redoing the last the previous step.
Mm-hmm.
Task 5 would be the obstacle course repeat of task 3 in reverse. So
now you're just rewinding.
Yeah, just rewinding. And then task 6, you're running the 220-yard run, repeat of task 2.
Okay.
And then last but not least, you dry fire, right? 6 strong, 6 weak.
Mm-hmm. dry firing a revolver.
Yes.
Okay.
Old revolver.
So I look at that when we did it, and, you know, because we're all carrying semi-automatic firearms now.
Correct.
So people ask, you know, how come we have to do this with a revolver? It's grip strength. It's grip strength. Just working that grip strength. You know,
And you can see some people that have issues with their support hand.
Sure.
Because they're not used to
Sure.
shooting.
Mhm.
You know, and that the poundage on that trigger is a lot higher than what we carry.
Sure.
So, and then finally you went, you know, after you do the 6 and 6, you enter the vehicle, right? 9 and 3, take the
Mhm.
key out. I'm sorry, seatbelt back on, and the key out, and the test is done.
Right.
So, again, this is for non-certified officers that are trying to get into the academy.
Now, certified in the state of Florida do not have to do that at their the respective agency that they're trying to get hired at.
No, they would. Remember, if you're certified, it means you already did all this process.
Right.
You passed the test,
Okay.
and now you're ready to start applying to different agencies.
Gotcha.
If you haven't been sponsored.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
Very cool.
so
So that's the meat and potatoes right there of
of entering as a non-sworn.
Right.
You know.
So now if I'm sworn and say I work someplace up in north part of the state, I come down here to the southern part of the state and I want to get hired by your agency. I'm within the state. So what do I have to do?
Just submit your application.
Simple.
Just submit your application. Like I said, we just had a couple that came through a couple months ago.
Mhm.
Two were certified, you know, previous
Mhm.
law enforcement. One's there, the other's not. And they submit the same application. They do a quick background.
I was going to say those background investigators are still going to do a
Yeah,
background
because we
on
don't.
you.
They speak to the previous agency where you worked at to make sure there's no
Right.
conflict there.
Mhm.
You know, that he wasn't fired or
Sure.
whatever may have happened. That he was a good officer there. That, you know, all the integrity issues were good.
Mhm.
And then they base it off that if we want to pick him up.
Okay.
You know, we look at the age, amongst other things.
Okay.
So now, say you're a very young person, okay? We have a program, and most agencies do.
How old are we talking?
14 to 21.
Okay.
Right, so about 8th grade. So we have this program, which is a phenomenal program. The person that ran it or used to run it did a phenomenal job. It's a lot of work, and you're dealing with, you know, kids, boys and girls, between 14 and 21. And the Explorer program pretty much is a stepping stone for students that are in school and say, yeah, you know what, I might want to become a police officer.
Mhm.
So and I would like to join this program. And in the program, we take them. I'm sorry, whoever's in charge. There's an outline,
Mhm.
and the outline pretty much involves everything that you and I had to do to become police officers. So they get to do all the high liability stuff, right? The shooting, the CPR, first aid. They do defensive tactics, driving, and then there's a lot of stuff in between that their cadres or DIs task them with.
Okay.
So it's a great program for the young leaders of the future of tomorrow, you know, that want to be police officers in this day and era. And you can start as you can start at 14 to 21. And most of the time they might pick one or two of those explorers and allow them to become police officers. So as long as you, as an explorer, you meet all the requirements that have been set forth for you, sometimes you will get picked up.
Yeah, so this is a great program. Number one, you're getting the education in law enforcement. You're not out on the street because you're not old enough. But you're getting your feet wet. You're getting a little bit of understanding, seeing if you like it or not.
Yes.
Okay, going back to what we said before about applicants, right? And then you're known. The people in the agency get to know you.
Yes.
Day in and day out, you're in there. You're pulling your weight, doing things you're asked to do. This can, I think, get you to the head of the line. Okay, in front of other applicants, because the agency gets to know you. They get to know your work ethic, right?
Yeah, and we've had that I know of maybe 5 over my years, 5 explorers that I've seen come through. They fulfilled all the requirements, and ultimately are working the street.
Yeah.
You know, one of them being a good friend of mine who's about to get promoted here real soon.
Yeah.
You know, he's part of the training division now.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, on his screensaver, he's got no picture of when he was an explorer. You know, he looked like a baby. But yeah, I mean, they are also held to a higher standard than other kids, you know, because now you're joining a paramilitary organization. There is a rank and a rank. There is a rank structure, right? You have your senior, and then they have sergeants and corporals and other ranks like that. But I think one of the most important things is that the kids have to maintain a 2.0 grade average. And all the applicants must attend 8 executive meetings before they are even considered to be allowed into the program.
Wow.
So you have to maintain a certain GPA and attend 8 consecutive meetings.
Wow.
You know, and that's where the DI gets to see who you are, feel you out. The other cadets, the other explorers that are in the class, you introduce yourself, you know, and they kind of slowly take it from there. You know, they wear a uniform. They wear a, I believe it's a gray uniform.
Okay.
So you know, when they do walk around the police department, people know who they are because of the uniform. Most of these kids are very polite. You know, they're tasked with different missions.
Right.
So,
yeah, the ones that I've run into seem like good kids.
Absolutely.
With a vision.
I mean, I think that's one of the best programs that we have because, like you said, you take kids that, whether you come from a low-income family or, you know, a high tax bracket, you know, it takes you away from maybe a possible bad element and puts you in a good element, and starts making you a better person, start instilling some discipline, some motivation, you know. And I'm sure parents see the difference from day one when they start to the day they graduate. Like, holy cow, where's my son and what have you done with him? Or where's my daughter? That's
a good thing. That's a good thing.
So that's one way that a young person, a young lady, a young man that's in school and thinking about becoming a police officer, that's another way you can get your foot in the door. You know, so now we have non-certified making it through the academy. We have the Explorer for the younger generation that are trying to get into the police, into the police department via the police academy. We kind of touched up on the certified. We also have a cadet program. Okay, so where's my and I don't think I ever bought this many notes, but
you got a lot of paper there.
I'm old. I can't remember all this stuff.
Killing a lot of trees, Lou.
Where we at with the cadets?
So the cadet program is going to be different than the other
The
program,
the Explorer.
the Explorer program.
Yes.
Okay.
Think here for a second. With the cadet program, you have to be already in a school, a college.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you are planning to become a police officer. I believe you also have to maintain a certain GPA. And there's a couple of requirements that you have to do in the cadet program.
Now, in the cadet program, is this an older crew?
Yeah, now you're talking about different age group. I'm gonna say 18 and above,
Okay.
and yeah, you apply. We put you through the swim test. We put you through you have to do ride-alongs. Okay, you are assigned a lieutenant, and it could be in different divisions. And while you're in the cadet program, you're pretty much getting a more of a bigger feel for what law enforcement is.
Okay, that's a question I have. You said something about a swim test.
Yes.
Is there a swim test in the PAT?
No.
No. Okay. Because there was when I went through.
Well, correction. For to get into the academy.
Yes.
Yes, there is a swim test.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know what I was thinking of.
So they also have it in this cadet program.
Yes.
Do they have it in the
In the Explorers.
Explorers?
I'm not 100% if they do it, but like I told you, just the public knows, the Explorers go away for a week, and in that
Right.
week they go up north,
Mhm.
Again with the cadres and the DIs,
Mhm.
and everything that we pretty much just spoke about. All the requirements. They have to. There's no mom, there's no dad there. They really have to show out and show that everything that they've learned within that year, and they have to pass that academy.
Okay.
It's like a mini academy before
Excellent.
you're taken to the
Good.
to the big one. But yeah, no, cadets. It's another great program. The cadets do get paid.
Okay.
Okay, they're getting paid a salary because now they're gonna be future police officers. So they might be going to school, but they're receiving a salary.
Okay. What is their job? What do they do?
It depends on what the needs of the department are.
Okay.
So a cadet could be assisting CID, inputting information. Could be assisting organized crime, inputting, translating, crime scene, right?
Okay.
Pretty much every division that we have in the PD,
Mhm.
a cadet can be involved in that. Okay, and they
Cool.
do so many hours, and once they complete the program, again, they've already been considered for hiring. Now we're just waiting for them to go to the academy.
All right.
So
Interesting. I didn't know that much about the cadet program. I knew the Explorers because I would always see them, but I didn't know too much about that cadet program.
we have, if my memory recalls, we have two cadets in the academy right now. I think that one of them just finished, the other one's waiting to finish.
Okay.
Because we had 6 come to training, and then we had 2 cadets. So one's on FTO already, and the other one's waiting to go to FTO.
Nice.
So
Now, do you find you get a higher quality officer from those that follow all the way through these programs versus somebody who just goes through the academy? Is there any type
that's
of...
a good question, John, because and here's my opinion of it. If I'm using the cadet program to say get my foot in the door, to get hired, at least I'm getting a salary. If I'm using the Explorer program to get into the door, I'm going to do everything you ask of me. But you know how it is. Once you get done with everything, I mean, you've made it past training, Now you're assigned an FTO officer. Now you're on your own. Sometimes, and I've seen it, sometimes that personality changes a little bit. And what I mean by that is, you know, you weren't hard charger that whole time that you were in the Explorer program. You were hard charger the whole time that you were in the internship. But now you're mixing, now you're on the street and you're mixing with the old salty dogs, and so sometimes you may take on that persona. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
So what was once a ball of fire now is maybe just a little glimmer of a light.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
So they gotta get motivated again.
Yeah, and I don't know how you would change that, especially again with the way society policing has changed. I don't know. I always just tell people, listen, just do what you've been doing since day one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try learn enough about the street, learn enough from others of becoming a good leader. Take the sergeant's test, be that leader, and prevent what you see happening from happening.
Okay.
So, but I mean, there's numerous ways to get into the police department. One of the easiest ways really is coming from the military. Use the GI Bill.
Okay.
And I used it, but I still had to go through this whole process of the CJ bat,
Sure.
the obstacle course. I was probably weighing 110 and about a 12 pack instead of a keg. But you see a lot of military guys coming straight out of as soon as they receive their DD-214s, they're at the academy applying.
Yeah. I remember interviewing on the phone and in person some military guys that were hired in the agency. And most of them turned out pretty good. Once they got in, got acclimated, most of them, I mean, we had a couple didn't last. We had one that was committing crimes, and then we had another one that was doing something else.
He was committing crimes while he was
hired. While he was working.
But I think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when it's up to that individual department to make sure you police your own.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, it does happen. But we try not to put that out there. We clean our own house and we'll start all over again with the whole hiring process. So, what did I want to say here? High school. Oh, going back to the internship, John. Some of the requirements, the person or the potential officer, right, has to be attending a state accredited college or university.
Right.
Must have a high school criminal justice academy. Criminal justice academy. High school student with at least 18 years or 18 or over. Have successfully registered for the law enforcement internship class with the college. Okay. Supply a letter from the college or the university internship program. Supply a letter from high school academy director. The individual must be in good standing with the college or university. And the individual must be in good standing with the high school.
Okay.
So, the requirements aren't like crazy, you're not trying to become a Navy SEAL or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
But, and most of these kids, again, they all have been to some kind of college. A lot of them have been in the military. But again, it's a great program. I see them throughout the station doing certain tasks. They're just soaking up everything that they hear from everybody else.
All right.
So we can talk about some of the benefits of becoming a police officer.
Give
You
me
know.
one.
Huh?
Give me one.
Your
To work on
pension,
midnight shift.
holidays and leave. It's depending on what department you go to, the salaries are going to range.
Sure. Mhm.
I think right now, uh, in Palm Beach County, I think the salary is going between 46 and like 86.
Hmm.
You know,
Okay.
I know a couple of guys that are retired in some nice little towns making 75.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, that's the numbers that I just gave you were for a patrol officer.
Okay.
If you become a sergeant, lieutenant, of course, it goes up a little bit. Some may get patrol incentives, depending on the unit, and then depending on your academic background. If you have college and stuff like that, you know how you can become a private first class,
Sure.
Or an MPO,
Mhm.
master patrol officer.
Okay.
So that's as far as salary. Holidays and leave, every department is gonna vary, but it all depends on the years of service, how you accrue your hours, right? Your
Right.
sick time,
Mhm.
your vacation. So, and of course benefits, health insurance, your retirement, your pension. Most of us, especially at our department,
Mhm.
minimum 10 years to get vested, right?
Right.
10 years, you get vested.
I think that goes statewide.
Is
doesn't
that statewide?
I believe
Okay.
so. I believe so.
And then if you're lucky, like me, you can drop at 50 or
Yeah.
or 25.
Mm-hmm.
We have the VIBA, which covers the insurance.
Right.
If you really want to, when you're a young officer, you can purchase or buy back your military time. So if you serve 4 years, you can use your 185 money
Mm-hmm.
and buy it. That just helps you leave a little earlier.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But what do you plan on doing after you leave? You're gonna sit at home and
Gotta have a plan. Don't sit at home. Don't sit at home.
You're gonna be down here at Riddle Defense at the boot camp.
Yeah. No, and that's important too. Okay, that. Oh, and I know we're talking about the hiring process and the process of getting in, but after you do 25 to 30 years in a stressful situation, in stressful areas that we've worked in, okay, day in and day out, if you think you're going to retire and go to the beach and drink pina coladas all day, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. It might happen for you for maybe 2 years,
Right.
and then nobody hears from you again. All right. My suggestion, coming from, because I'm there, better have something to do after you're done. Because it's going to keep you moving. It's going to keep you breathing and on the side of the green. Because after all the stress that we deal with over the years, it is going to catch up to us.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to stay healthy.
And again, a good point, because like right now I'm working 4 on 4 off.
Mm-hmm.
And in those 4 days,
It's a great schedule.
it doesn't seem like it's a lot of time, but when you sit on the couch and you're like, holy cow, I still got 3 days left. What do I do? You got to do something,
You do. And like you and like me, we started these businesses on that time. And that's what you have to do. I mean,
Start prepping for
you
retirement.
gotta prep for the afterlife, is the way I call it, after you retire.
It seems that the norm is, well, okay, I'm still young. I'm going to retire at, say, 55. You know what? I'm going to go work for another department.
A lot of guys do that. A lot of gals do that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's to each his own.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do. And,
Sure.
And you probably go to midnights again and start like a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're making some money and you're padding your pension. But this is the way I think about what's more important to you and your family: health, right? I don't need a $10,000 a month monthly pension to survive.
Mm-hmm.
For the young officers out there that are listening, don't live above your means.
That's it.
You don't need to be riding a Mercedes or Maserati when you've been on the job 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, you're wasting money. Put that money towards your what we call it the empowerment account. Okay, because that's just gonna keep building, 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 and that's what you're gonna primarily gonna live off when you retire.
Yeah.
You're not touching that drop money unless you know an emergency or whatever. Um, so be smart financially. You know, get yourself a financial planner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, as soon as you get hired at whatever agency you go to, get yourself a financial planner. I think the RPBA has one,
They do.
and they can assist you or guide you to somebody better
Mhm.
if you think they're not doing the job you're asking. But you know, again, live. You got to live life. Live
Mhm.
life. Don't live on bologna and bologna and cheese sandwiches because you weren't about 30 years from now.
I don't know what is it, the life expectancy of a police officer is after retirement.
I wanted to say it was like 57.
I beat it.
Yeah, you beat the odds.
All right, but you know, and I say that in jest, but it's because of what I do too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're staying in shape.
Yeah.
You're keeping busy.
Yeah. So you have to, you know, you look at that, and where does that stat come from anyway? You know, who pulled that out? I don't know.
Who knows?
You know, but it's a thing where you look at that and you can use it as a gauge. It's like, you know, okay, I retire at 50 something, and they're saying 57 is when cops pull the pin.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's not good for me. You know, so you gotta recognize that, and you gotta prepare for that.
And like you said before, it is a very stressful job. I mean, you're dealing with the stuff that nobody else wants to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to go to a domestic disturbance at 6:30 in the morning, where either or are beating each other? There might be kids involved, or a robbery just occurred. You're chasing a carjacker, or you're dealing with a child that was sexually battered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're gonna see a lot of things
Sure.
that can be traumatic.
Sure.
You know, if you don't know how to handle that or how to deal with it. But yeah, you got to have a plan. You know, because you're gonna be sitting at home and your mind is just gonna be rambling, just going 100 miles an hour.
Absolutely.
So if you start coming up with a plan now as to what I'm gonna do when I retire, I think it'll make that transition from law enforcement to civilian life a little bit less stressful, a little bit more comfortable. You know, yeah, enjoy a couple of months of retirement.
Mhm.
But like you said, you're going to get tired of it.
Yeah. And that's why before I retired, you know, I wrote out this business plan for Riddle Defense, and I wanted to get it up and running before I retired.
Yep.
You know, and give it that time to iron out the bumps and everything that we knew we were going to come across, and you know, to make it work. Right. Things change with time, of course, you know, but that's the way you have to plan it. You know,
Yeah.
you got to plan it early. You got to plan it early. So, you know, and I think it's tough when you're young to think that far ahead.
It is.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
I was 26 when I got on, 25, 26, you know, and I didn't even think about today, you know, and but you need to. You need to. Sometimes it's a scary thing to do for some people, but you have to do it. You have to take care of yourself in the future.
I remember thinking when I first got hired, and I was like, what am I going to do when I'm done with this? But I'm like, I'm having too much fun right now, you know, in whatever unit that I was
Yeah.
in. And then I told myself, maybe like 5 years before I retire, I'll start thinking of something.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky for me, you know, my plan kind of started back in 09,
Mhm.
you know, so I just kind of kept running with it, you know.
Yeah.
So again, it just makes the transition a little bit easier. But don't sit at home and be a couch potato because you may not live too long.
No.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of suicides.
Yes.
A lot of cops commit suicide. A lot of
Sure.
military guys commit suicide.
Yeah, we hear about the PTSD on the military side, right?
Yes.
It's huge, right? But you don't hear too much of it. It's starting to surface now, I think, with us,
Yes, with law
you know?
enforcement.
Where it was kept under the rug for a while. But I think it's now that the military guys are coming out with it. I think law enforcement, with some of the stuff that we've done, what we've seen, it's starting to surface, and again, mental health, physical health, trying to keep them all in check, and just overall body health, staying healthy. I think that's going to keep everybody in line for when they do retire. But you got to think of it early.
And I hate to think negative, but hey, that's the nature of the beast, and that's the way we think. Is hopefully we don't have people. There are people that have PTSD, and they're diagnosed and they're being treated for that. But hopefully that people later along the line do not use that as an excuse to get an early discharge because
Right.
they don't like what they're doing.
Right.
And you know it, and I know that it's happened.
Sure.
People if there's a chance to take advantage of a situation, somebody's probably gonna try it.
Of course.
And that's when, as military vets, as you find that disgusting, despicable.
Yeah.
I have no respect for you for what you're doing. And I've seen a couple go through it where they use it as an excuse to get out, and they ended up getting money, full pensions, the whole medical. But when I retire, I'm gonna have to pay a certain amount of money for insurance and for my wife and I, etc. So shame on you if that even comes across your mind that I'm gonna use this as an excuse to get out early.
Yeah. I agree.
And I
100%.
say that, but
All right. So
I hope we covered the different options
Mhm.
To become a police officer, the hiring process, using the different programs. Really, the two major programs that are available, right? The Explorer program, the internship. We kind of didn't really say too much about certified because you already did all this already.
Right.
Right. So you're beyond that. You're in the process of trying to get hired now with an agency. But if this is what you're gonna do, like John said earlier, do the ride-alongs. That's the only way you're gonna get a sense, a feel. Not sitting on TV watching cops or what's the other one, live PD, whatever it is. Which I don't really watch those shows, but that's not how you're really gonna get a taste for what a police officer sees or hears,
right,
and has to take home with him or her. Because just because you take the uniform off doesn't mean it's still not in your head.
Oh, yeah.
We have to learn how to turn it off, and I think most of us have learned how to turn it off by having a hobby, a gym, whatever. But it's not that easy.
No.
And as a young, if you're married and you're a young couple, sometimes that can affect relationships, right? So and that's probably something we should have said, but I mean, it can happen.
Yeah, that's just a hazard. That's more hazard that we come across in our duty, right? Our personal life. We always think about all the hazards we have out on the street, the bad guys, right? And then we have hazards within the building which we work.
Absolutely.
Right? And then we have hazards that we bring home with us that causes us strife at home, and it costs us marriages. It costs us families.
Yes.
Right. So all of these things have to be discussed. If you're a married person or you're with someone and you plan on being with that person for the rest of your life and you're contemplating becoming a police officer, you better have that discussion.
Yeah.
And give them, that significant other, as much information as you can on what you're getting into. Yep. So they know what's going on and they can either give you the backing that you need, or they can say, hey, maybe we need to sit and talk about this.
You know,
You know?
I'll tell you a quick funny story. When I was working road patrol back then and again, I would come home. My wife would want to talk, and I would say, you know, give me an hour.
Yeah.
Let me de-escalate myself here. Let me diffuse.
Sure.
Let me get my mind right. Let me go do what I have to do, and then I would go and sit in, have dinner or whatever. And if I want, she knew not to ask, but then I would tell her, "Oh, you won't believe what happened today. This happened. I saw this. Whatever." You know.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to communicate with your spouse or significant other.
Sure.
And
can't
hold it in.
To the spouses, whether it be a female officer or a male officer, when you're walking through the door at home, let us get our feet in the door.
Yes.
Let us get the damn uniform off.
Yes.
You know,
peel it off.
Yeah, because it's a thing where, you know, if we get changed at home, right? Some of us do. Some of us get changed at headquarters. But if we get changed at home, let us get in the door. Let us get that uniform off, and you'll see that transition.
Yeah.
I never thought about it.
You feel it
until my significant other told me about it. She goes, "There's a definite difference in you when you're getting dressed, getting ready to go to work, and there's another difference in you when that uniform's coming off."
I think not only you do feel it, but like you said, you can see the change in the personality.
Yeah.
You know, you go from not uptight, but you're on point. Everything you're looking head on a swivel to, I'm at home. I can relax.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you know, I've had a couple bouts when I got home, you know, where I wasn't decompressed and still had the uniform on. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Let me get,
Sure.
you know, and if your significant other doesn't understand that, then yeah, you can, you know, you might have some bumps in the road there.
Yes.
You know, nothing major, but it's something that has to be explained.
We've all been through it, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
But
That's just survival. You know, you survive the street, you survive the headquarters, you got to survive home. You know, that's just part of it.
So, what do you think? Think pretty much covered
Yeah, I think
what
we
we were
did.
planning.
Definitely, you know, and anybody that's listening to this that may have an interest in becoming a law enforcement officer, you know, this will be up on YouTube, and just leave some comments. Give us a write on what you think of this, and if you have any questions, leave some questions for us, and we'll answer them.
Absolutely,
you know, as we go along, no doubt, because this is an important thing that we wanted to get out to everybody, because it's more than a job.
You know, and how many people have come up to you on the street saying, "Hey, can you tell me how to become a police officer?"
Yeah, just in my school, you know, because I base my school. If you look around, okay, my logo has the thin blue line on it, right, and people that are in my school are advocates for that. You know, they come in here. When we talk and as we train, and I give war stories and things that can happen to people, and why I train people the way I do today is because of my past on the street, what I've seen, what you've seen, right? And they become advocates for us, you know? So it's a thing where I get people in here. I just got a letter from a kid who joined the IDF, right? Israeli Defense Force, right? Not a cop, but he went in the military. And he's like, he just sent me another message on Facebook Messenger. "Hey man, if it wasn't for you and Lee, I wouldn't be where I am today. I just passed paratrooper. I'm a paratrooper now." You know, and it makes me feel good.
Sure.
But the discipline, because my gym is different. I instill discipline into people too, especially young kids, right? And I've had people come to me about being a police officer. "Hey man, what do I have to do to become a cop? What do I have to do?" I said, "Let's sit down and talk about this. You know, I'll give you some of the reasons you should and some of the reasons why you shouldn't." Right? I give them both ends.
Pros
But
and cons.
give
yeah.
the pros and cons, you know, but I give them an educated reason as to why or why not they should do it, right? And it's all based on them, you know. So when people do come up to me, most of the time it's in the gym, and I try to point them in the right direction, you know.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So on our next episode number 3, where are we going? I got an idea, but
What's your idea?
my
I'll
idea
ask you
is we're
first.
out of the academy. Or no, we got to talk about what's in the academy.
Oh, the different types of courses that are
Some of the courses.
titles.
Yeah. And
The
then,
topics that
yeah, and what to expect. And then after they're out on their first day or first night on the street.
I think real quick, a lot of people overthink the academy. I'm not gonna say it's the easiest thing or the hardest. To me, studying books, reading, I hate. But I have to do it because that's what my job consists of.
Sure.
Right? Knowing statutes, reading statutes.
Mm-hmm. But you got to admit, you gave it a kind of a side glance because you were in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
So when you get, and you're looking at from the military to the paramilitary, and these DIs at the academy yelling at you versus the DIs in the Corps yelling at you, it's two different worlds.
Yeah, two different.
Okay.
Things. Yeah, absolutely.
So I was in the Air Force. So for me in the academy, the food in the Air Force was better than the food in the cafeteria at the academy.
I'm not even going to tell you what we ate in the Marine Corps.
But I think the military guys getting out and they're going into law enforcement, they're going to see the academy is going to be. It's not going to be that bad.
No.
Yeah,
just a lot of studying.
Yeah.
And I think what stresses out a lot of people is I have to pass that state exam.
That's it. That's the big
And
stress
you
at
do.
the end of the day. Right.
Down here in Florida, there's a test for pretty much some kind of certification for everything, some kind of license for anything. So you know it, I know it, because we pay our licenses for our businesses. But that's probably the biggest thing. It's overcoming the fear of not passing that state exam, because you have to. That's your bread and butter, and you're trying to get hired. But if you do good on all your topics, I'm sure you're going to have some good instructors going in there. You may have some that are not so good, but you do a lot of note-taking, and that's where you're going to be studying from at the end of the academy. So we'll leave it at that, and we can kick it up a notch on the next episode.
Excellent.
So
Good deal. All right, man. So that's a wrap for this one.
that's a wrap.
And again, if anybody has any questions out there, please leave comments. We want to know how we're doing, what you feel with what we're talking about. And any of the questions that you write will be up on YouTube. We'll answer them right away. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.